wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Lauren LaRosa filling in for Jess. And let's get in some front page news. All right. Good morning, Morgan.
Good morning. Good morning. I wish it was a good morning if you're in Florida. If you're waking up this morning, it is definitely a good morning in terms of that regards. But there is a lot of devastation that Milton has done in terms of this storm. Okay, so let's get into it. Hurricane Milton made landfall on Florida's central west coast as of Category 3 storm in Siesta Key, one of Sarasota's barrier islands, packing winds around 120 miles per hour. Multiple reports say Milton still could be the most destructive storm to hit Florida in a century, and residents are being told to expect a life-threatening storm surge. Now, speaking from the White House, President Biden said personnel and assets are on the ground in Florida, and he's declared an emergency in the state. Let's hear from President Biden.
Milton still carries incredible destructiveness, can wipe out communities, can cause loss of life. Storm surge is still expected to be up to 13 feet. We're going to work with state officials to clear debris, restore power, and do it as fast as possible. The Army Corps of Engineers will pump out water and decrease flooding. We've already directed the Department of Defense to be ready to provide active duty service members to support Florida.
Yeah, so Biden went on to say that he will be in constant contact with local officials as the aftermath is underway. Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris, she joined FEMA officials yesterday before the storm made landfall. And here's what she had to say in part.
Already, we have sent more than 1,000 federal personnel to be on the ground in Florida to assist with what needs to happen in the state to prepare for this hurricane, and we will continue to scale up those efforts. To the people of Florida, and in particular the people of the Tampa region, so please listen to your local officials. They know what they're talking about. They know what they're doing. In the hours and days ahead, President Biden and I and our administration will continue to do everything we can to protect the people who have been in the path of this storm. And once the storm has passed, we will be there to help folks recover and rebuild.
It's amazing because a lot of people actually hung up on the fact in that call that she appeared to be telling one of her staffers that she was on a live broadcast ahead of those comments. So first responders in Florida say they've been limited in performing rescues because of the intense winds from Hurricane Milton. Authorities are warning people in Central Florida that even if they call 911, they will essentially be on their own until conditions are deemed safe for them to venture out. They say that includes calls from people who have lost touch with family members or who are anxious about property damage. Those calls are not the immediate right now. It's the rescue, search and rescue missions. Hurricane Milton, of course, again, made landfall last night as a Category 3 storm before being downgraded to a Cat 1. Unfortunately, there is a loss of life in St. Lucie County, Florida, where as many as 17 tornadoes touched down ahead of Hurricane Milton, making landfall. But we'll talk more about that in the 7 o'clock hour. You guys have any thoughts on what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing to me how many people don't understand how natural disasters make people's already terrible situation worse. Like when you're dealing with, poor and disenfranchised individuals who live paycheck to paycheck and they have to deal with natural disasters, they don't have the money to evacuate. They don't have the money to rebuild. After a storm hits. This is what the brother Tone was saying when he called yesterday. When it comes to poor people in this country, years of societal neglect, from America, years of systemic oppression have these people in a situation that they simply, can't win in. And it's just amazing how many people don't realize that.
Yeah, it's very sad. And to double what Charlamagne is saying, a lot of people couldn't even prepare for the storm because they couldn't afford it. They couldn't afford to cover their windows. They couldn't afford to get some of the sand and the barricades to make sure the water. Yeah, they can't afford the plywood to make sure their stuff is safe. So a lot of people out. I spoke to my son out in Miami. Miami wasn't hit as hard as expected. At 8 o'clock, he was FaceTiming me, and it was still, it hadn't even rained as of yet. And my family out in Tampa, they was just saying it was very nasty. They said they have no power. They said it was a lot of damage. They couldn't go outside to see exactly what the damage was because they didn't want to go outside in the wind. But they'll know more this morning when the sun comes up. So.
And I think people get upset at government, local and federal, because people just want to know how are you going to help them rebuild when the storm is over. Not just rebuilding the state, but helping them rebuild personally. They're going to need a hand up Will that be provided? You can't get mad when people see the money that they have for war, when they see the money that they have for, border issues, the migrants. They want to make sure they're going to get that kind of financial relief too. They see the billions being spent on other things. They want the same right here in this country. And I don't see the problem with that.
I think too, like I have family in Florida, and they were saying, like when I reposted the video yesterday that we posted from Andrew Gillum, they were saying that like it's for some people that are older, have older family, it's hard for them to understand how to get to that stuff, like how to. So like now,
how to fill out the paperwork, where to go to fill out the paperwork.
Yeah, so I had a lot of people hitting me yesterday like, what are the websites? Like, they just didn't understand certain stuff.
But that's why information is important.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, that is front page news. Thank you, Morgan.
Thank you. We'll talk more on at 7 a.m.
Everybody else, get it off your chest. 800-585-1051. If you need to vent, phone lines are wide open. Again, 800-585-1051. Call us up right now. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are The Breakfast Club. Lauren LaRosa is filling in for Jess. Let's get in some front page news. Now, some quick sports. The Yankees beat the Royals last night. They lead the series 2-1. The Dodgers beat the Padres. They tied the series 2-2. The Mets move on. They beat the Phillies 4-1. Congratulations to the Mets. And the Tigers are still leading the series 2-1.
So where did the Mets go now? I don't watch baseball. It was better when everybody was on steroids. So where did they go? So they're not going to the World Series,
not
right?
yet. They got one more game before the World.
So the semifinals.
One more series before the World Series, yeah.
So it's like the finals, the semifinals.
Semifinals.
Okay.
They call it the National League Conference Finals. Yeah, Conference Finals.
I don't watch baseball, yo.
Conference Finals,
I used to watch baseball back in the day when the Braves used to come on TBS. When I was home in South Carolina, that's when everybody was on steroids. Sport was amazing. People was knocking home runs out the park. Once everybody got off steroids, baseball went to the toilet, if you ask me.
Well, tonight, the Minnesota Lynx also take on the New York Liberty in Game 1. That happens at 8. And then Monday night. And then Thursday night football, the 49ers take on the Seattle Seahawks at 8:15. What's up, Morgan?
What's up is we are still following the aftermath of Hurricane Milton after it made landfall as a Category 3 storm before being downgraded overnight to a Cat 1. Now, St. Lucie County out of Florida, officials say that at least 2 people have died from Hurricane Milton after tornadoes hit the area. Sheriff Keith Pearson confirmed that there have been multiple fatalities at a senior living community in Fort Pierce, about 2 hours southeast of Orlando. Again, 17 tornadoes have estimated 17 tornadoes touched down. Let's hear more from St. Lucie Sheriff Keith Pearson.
We've got reports of 17 confirmed tornadoes that just destroyed our community. Now, there's been over 100 residences that are completely destroyed, and we don't even have the hurricane here yet with the sustained winds. So right now we're focusing in a 55 and older community that's mainly consisted of modular homes that, you wouldn't even recognize it. Right now we're in 100% rescue mode. Our deputies are out there going through this neighborhood that was just devastated by these multiple tornadoes that touched down in such a short period of time.
So meanwhile, Tampa Bay residents, you mentioned this earlier, Envy, about Tampa. Tampa Bay residents, they will get a look this morning as the sun rises, the damage of Hurricane Milton that Hurricane Milton caused after making landfall. They'll likely see a lot of water damage. The storm dumped over a foot of rain in parts of the area overnight. Some neighborhoods are flooded. The wind was so strong that part of the roof at the Tropicana Field Stadium, the home of baseball's Tampa Bay Rays in St. Petersburg, that came off. Also in St. Pete, a construction crane crashed onto a building downtown. Now, no injuries were reported in that incident, but millions of customers across the state do remain without power as of right now. National Hurricane Center Director Michael Brennan, he is sharing some tips for those impacted by Hurricane Milton. Let's hear from National Hurricane Center Director Michael Brennan.
So we want to talk about widespread power outages. How do you keep yourself safe? You want to use flashlights and not candles. You want to practice portable generator safety. We lose a lot of people to carbon monoxide poisoning from improper generator use. And you want to be careful with any food and water left in your home without refrigeration. Again, make sure that it's safe to eat. Be careful after the storm cleaning up. Don't overexert yourself. We have a lot of people succumb to cardiac arrest, heart attacks, other medical issues after the storm. And be careful with the cleanup equipment, chainsaws. And also you have to be careful in the heat, post-storm heat. It's still going to be Florida.
Yeah, so this comes as President Biden is actually slamming former President Trump for the recent comments that he's made about the storms, the aftermath, and the resources going out in regards to that. Now, Biden has called Trump's comments reckless, irresponsible, relentless, and he went on to say, quite frankly, these lies are un-American, adding that former President Trump has led this onslaught of lies. Now, this comes after Trump has accused relief efforts to going towards migrants as opposed to those relief efforts going towards the residents of Florida. Sheesh, it's just sad to hear those, like you said, these continue to see that this is a politicized event, or it's always going to be a politicized event. But switching gears to the political spectrum, Republicans are going after Vice President Kamala Harris for saying she'd do nothing differently from President Biden. Now, she made these comments while speaking on The View earlier this week. The VP was asked what she would have done differently from Biden over the past 4 years, and this is what she had to say.
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
So the Trump-Vance campaign immediately pounced on the response with J.D. Vance posting, Kamala Harris is more of the same, adding she admits it herself. The Harris campaign earlier said the candidate would highlight some differences she had with Biden. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, she definitely needs to highlight differences, especially being that President Biden is not a popular president to the American people. Like, President Biden has some good things that he's done, while he's been in the White House the past almost 4 years, but he's not a popular president. So just from a campaign strategy, you should say, oh, we definitely have a lot of differences, and just maybe leave it at that and say, hey, I'll explain later. But yes, there's a lot of things that I would definitely do different, but I am proud of the good things that we have done. Like, you leave it at that, right? But don't say you don't think of nothing you would change.
I guess she didn't want to issue on him, you know what I mean? But I'm with you. A lot of people are not happy with Biden. So the fact that you're saying that I wouldn't change anything, and the fact that people are not necessarily happy about that makes it sound a little crazy
I don't
to
know
me.
why politicians have to be so scary.
I don't either.
Like, it's nothing wrong with her distancing herself, and I don't know why. It's like
especially because he's out of here too.
Yeah, it's like she's afraid to. At first, people were saying that it was going to be a bad look if she did because it was going to look like she wasn't loyal to the party. But now it's like we're all here telling the truth. So,
right.
I mean, maybe she's still, she's still doing the job. She's got double duty, like you guys said yesterday. But
you can say that he did some good things, but also say that we have a lot of differences. Like, I mean, when you got an approval rating like as low as Joe Biden, there's nothing wrong with saying, yeah, I got some differences with this guy. Just from a campaign strategy.
No, yeah, you're right about that. Speaking of campaign strategies, former President Trump, he is headed to New York. He's planning a major rally at Madison Square Garden later this month. It's set for October 27th, just 9 days before Election Day. That's according to the New York Post, which broke the story. Now, the newspaper says it'll be first come, first serve event if you want to go. The Garden can seat up to 19,500 people in the main arena, and Trump expects to fill those seats, saying he'll honor police, firefighters, and teachers. Trump, who's 78, believes he's got a real shot at turning New York red. So to your point yesterday about New York being a blue state, well, Trump is up for the challenge, Charlamagne.
Well, I think he's doing that just for the spectacle of it all. Like, New York is the number one media capital. So you do an event at Madison Square Garden, you're going to suck the air out of all the headlines, especially with, the VP having she's had a great press run this week. I don't care what nobody say. And being that she's had a great press run, she's got a lot of headlines. So he got to do something to suck the air out of the headlines, because the more she continues to do press, the more headlines she's going to get. And she kind of boxes, him and Vance out. So I think he's just doing this for the spectacle of it all.
Who y'all think he's going to bring out?
At the Garden?
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea.
If for anything, on October 27th, mark your calendar to make sure that you stay clear of that area for traffic purposes. And that's your front page news. I'm Morgan Wood. Follow me on social at Morgan Media. And for more news coverage, make sure you're following at Black Information Network. Download the free iHeartRadio app and visit us at binnews.com. Thank you guys. Talk to y'all tomorrow.
Wake that ass up
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.